I knew that my boyfriend never liked my past arrangement, and yesterday we had an argument when he brought it up and said he should not have dated me. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Will My Boyfriend, a 27-year-old male, leave me, a 26-year-old female, for my sugar baby past? And guys, this story is written by a woman. She is, like she says, 26. And in her early years, not that she isn't young already, she's 26, she was as she describes, a sugar baby. In other words, she was specifically dating a much older man, doesn't say how old he was, purely for financial reasons. Obviously, he bought her stuff, etc., etc. And she started dating this other dude who's her boyfriend right now, but it seems like she was still dating the sugar daddy, getting everything she could get out of it during that time period, and dating this guy. Eventually, she broke up with the sugar daddy and was with this guy. Now, you're going to see this guy, when she first started dating him, this young guy, he wasn't he was shy, not as outgoing, not as confident, but she liked him for whatever reason. Or she was looking for her nice guy, eventually, nice guy provider type that eventually she could marry, because, let's be honest, she's now in her mid-20s. And eventually this guy starts to get some self-worth, some confidence, and realize, you know what? I don't want to be in a relationship with a gal, or eventually maybe marry a gal, who earlier in life, essentially, was a SEX worker. I mean, when it comes down to it, that's really what was going on there. And of course, she doesn't like that too much, because how dare she be accountable for her early actions, or there's nothing wrong with me, or whatever. I just have a little meltdown about that. This guy has gained his worth. He's now realized, I'm not going to have this. So I find it pretty interesting whenever I go over these guys, because young people got to realize there are consequences to your actions. You do things, even if it's earlier in life, that you think is okay because everybody else is doing it, which is pretty accurate nowadays. Down the road, that may impact your employment one day, or a future relationship where a guy doesn't want a gal that behaved that way. And it could be that the situation was reversed, and a guy did certain things when he was younger and met a girl that he liked, and she doesn't want to be with a guy with that kind of past. Let's just say he did, I don't know, PORN. You never know. And then you have to accept that. So I'm going to go through this, guys. It's pretty entertaining here. So it starts off, she says, when I met my boyfriend Tom, not his real name, I had an arrangement with a sugar daddy. Define arrangement. I never loved that man, and I was upfront with Tom about my relationship. Tom wasn't happy about it, but I made it clear to him that I enjoyed the attention I was getting from my arrangement, and he accepted it. We dated for another half a year, and I decided I didn't want Tom to feel bad about it, and I broke up with my sugar daddy. So, define dating, because she said she was dating Tom, her now current boyfriend. Was it casual dating, where, yeah, we're dating, but Tom sees other girls? Or was it we're actually supposed to be in a relationship, and I'm seeing and sleeping with sugar daddy and getting resources out of that? She doesn't specify. I'm guessing probably they were in a relationship. And this guy was very weak, very naive, didn't know any better, didn't have a lot of options, so she got what she wanted. But watch this. We've been together for almost 3 years now. Tom was always very shy. However, recently he became much more confident and outgoing. He told me he's hanging out with some of his friends, a friend who is a pickup artist. I read about pickup artists, and it seems those people are very manipulative and train themselves how to seduce women. Wait a second here. So, guys are bad guys if they learn to seduce women and use manipulation tactics to get what they want. But it's perfectly okay for the gals to do those types of things, seduce and manipulate to get what they want. But if a guy does it, then it's the root of all evil. The world's ended. That's what I'm getting out of this. What do you think she did to get her sugar daddy to buy her things and give her money, amongst many other things? I can't be the only one that noticed this. I like Tom becoming confident and outgoing, but he also started to say many derogatory things about the gals who slept around. I knew that my boyfriend never liked my past arrangement, and yesterday we had an argument when he brought it up and said he should not have dated me. He later apologized, but I had an anxiety attack and I couldn't sleep that night. Okay, drama queen. I'm a pretty girl, but now I feel like I'm not enough for Tom. I love him and wanted to marry, but I don't feel secure anymore. What I tell you guys is what happens when the gals don't feel very secure, when they have uncertainty in relationship. All of a sudden, they start seeing that guy a different way. Right here, I don't feel like I'm enough for Tom, all of a sudden. She's feeling insecure. If she was pretty enough to be a sugar baby, believe me, she's a pretty girl. Okay? So, right there, when there's uncertainty involved. Do you think Tom will change his mind? No. She says, thank you for all your replies. I don't think I am a SCX worker. I will talk to him in the evening and ask for counseling. Counseling for who? Counseling for you or counseling for Tom? Because Tom's actually, his eyes have been opened, the blinders have been taken off, and he's realizing, you know what? I got some good things about me. He starts catching up. He's a late bloomer. He's gotten some confidence. It's like, I'm not going to get serious with a gal that did that for a living. I didn't like it back when I was younger, but I wasn't strong enough to stand up for myself. But now that I am, oh, hell no. And so he needs some counseling to change him back to the way he used to be. Well, watch what happens. Now we have an update. She says here, I talked to Tom in the evening and we broke up. I still can't believe it. Well, we can. We had a talk yesterday and it went badly. I asked Tom about our last argument and he said he wanted to break up last weekend, but he knew I would be hurt and he could not make himself to do it. He told me he felt bad about my arrangement and he always saw it as SCX work. When we dated, he really liked me and enjoyed our time together, but now he wants to move on. He was sorry for being silent all those years because he wasn't confident enough to break up with me and he thought he could forget about it eventually. There you go. Well, he can't. That's not what he wants to eventually marry one day. Sounds like Tom's a relationship guy. Like I said, he's starting to realize, I got some good things about me. He's starting to develop some confidence. He's a late bloomer, but better late than never. I asked him about counseling, but he refused. What do you think he needs counseling for? What, to have some therapist brainwash him to think that he's a bad guy? Or have some therapist is an effeminist, brainwash him that her actions when she was younger was perfectly okay? He said that he read a lot in the past few weeks and made up his mind already. He doesn't think he can move on. When I asked if his friend influenced his decision, he became very defensive. He said that his friend made him a more mature and assertive person. He wants to work on himself before he starts dating. Well, okay. Well, she can go back to being a sugar baby. When I asked if we can date in the future, he said he loved me, but he cannot consider me to be a girlfriend anymore. He cannot deal with the fact that I had you-know-what with an old man for gifts while I was conventionally dating him. He's still angry about it and feels jealous. Well, I'm going to say this, to be fair here. That dude, if he wasn't happy with this girl that he was involved with, being a sugar baby to some old guy, then he shouldn't have gotten involved with her. Okay, so smack to him for doing that. But obviously when he was younger, he didn't have the self-esteem or confidence, whatever, to stand his ground. You know, she eventually broke up with the old guy. But, and I don't know how old this guy was. I'd love to know. But he realizes now he's come to his own. He doesn't want this in his life. He says he's still angry about it and feels jealous. I explained that I was in a bad place in my life. What do you mean you were in a bad place? You were young, you knew she was young, in the prime, very desirable, young, early 20s, great body, no doubt, and got something out of it. I don't want to hear a bad place. He understands, but also was in a bad spot many times, and he somehow figured things out. I said I love him and ensured that my past sugaring arrangement meant nothing for me and I wouldn't do it again. He said he values SCX very much, and it felt very cheap that I shared it with another person for money. He said it still hurts him even after 3 years. Okay, if it bothers him this deeply, then they don't belong together, end of story. And no amount of so-called counseling or / brainwashing is going to fix that. He's not happy, it's not what he wants to move on. He wants to hopefully find someone that didn't do that or is a little bit of a cleaner slate than her. Tom said I can live in his place for another month and he will help me find a new place. I understand why some people may see it as SCX work, but for me, this arrangement was just a relationship with benefits. You can sugarcoat all you want, but at the end of the day, there was an exchange going on. Here's the question. Would she have been with this old man, or older man, if she wasn't getting resources out of it? No. Therefore, and she was getting things out of it, financial things, gifts, all that, it was an exchange. But it's interesting that those that involve themselves in that, and I don't know anyone that did this to my knowledge, but you do enough stories, you start to see a pattern here. They don't see it that way. I may not be the smartest girl, but I cannot believe he wants to throw away all 3 years of our relationship, and I really feel bad now. He said that I am very pretty and I can date other guys, but I am crying. Other guys I dated were jerks, and the only serious boyfriend I had in my life hates me. Then stop dating jerks. Stop dating the bad boys. Stop dating Chad and Tyrone. There's plenty of guys out there who are good guys. The problem, I guarantee you, when eventually she moves on with this dude, because she's 26, she'll be looking for a nice guy to settle down with. That's usually how it works. And she probably won't ever tell him about that. And they will then find out down the road, and then they'll find out like right before the wedding or something. The next thing you know, I'll be doing their story on Reddit here, talking like, and I'll be like, "Is that the same girl that did the sugar babying a while ago?" Says here, I will try to find an older man that can talk to Tom and explain that relationships don't have to be perfect. We still live together, thus he might still change his mind. I'm really sorry for the pain I caused him, and I don't want us to break up. She's going to find an old man to tell him. That'll make it feel so much better. And a couple of small little edits or updates. She says, I accept I was an SEX worker and I hurt Tom. That was one-off, and I never cheated on my boyfriend. It was 2 years ago. How can I help him? It doesn't matter if it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 2 minutes ago. It still happened. He doesn't want that. And now she's admitting that she was a SEX worker. Edit number 2. You people are hateful. All messages are just awful. I was not serious with that man. I was serious with my boyfriend. I tried to save our relationship. So obviously she was taking a lot of heat in the comment section. So interesting as always when somebody does things when they're younger and then expects later in life when they're actually consequences to the actions when they're younger, and they obviously don't want to have to own up to them. And it's funny, guys, just made me think of this now. Yesterday I was reading an article about the daughter of Charlie Sheen and Denise Richards. Now, I know this story came out not too long ago, but I actually read it this time. And essentially their daughter just turned 18 recently, and to no surprise, she wants to start her own OnlyFans account and get a big following and make a lot of money. And you all know what OnlyFans is and what you do on OnlyFans to really attract a big base. Essentially, you strip butt naked and do all sorts of things and acts with yourself, with others on camera. You grow up a huge following. They pay for the membership, donations, tips, all that. And the wonderful parents that apparently that Charlie Sheen and Denise Richards are, because not that they don't have their own issues, of course, they pretty much say, who are they to judge, or something like that. And it's like, you're her parents. She's an 18-year-old kid. If anybody can try to have an influence on their children not to do stupid-ass things like this, which are, in my opinion, disgraceful, it's the parents. So, of course, they have that responsibility. But again, look who they are. And so she's going to go do this. And I even read a quote that her mother, Denise Richards, who 20 years ago, she was definitely you were seeing in a lot of movies. She's a damn good-looking girl back in the day, 20-some years ago. But I personally saw red flags in her. Just Lily was quoted saying, I wish I was as confident as her back then. Confident to go on OnlyFans. It's amazing how nowadays these young gals will do these things, and then you have people that label them as brave and empowered and confident. You do OnlyFans, they're brave. You gotta be shitting me. So is it any wonder that our society is the way it is? Because parents aren't acting like parents and parenting and saying what may not be popular at the time, but you see what I mean? And one day, this 18-year-old, it could be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, probably meet some dude, want to get married, and these things will come back to haunt her. It's amazing. Now, here's a few comments to show that I'm not alone in my opinion. One person says, assuming this is real, your ex is now the age where he is looking for a long-term partner or a wife. He has known for a while it is not you because you used to be a SEX worker and were a SEX worker when you were dating him, at least at the beginning. He decides he does not want to deal with that for the rest of his life. That is reasonable and valid reason to end the relationship. Sorry, but it is over. You will need to accept that. Amen. And another one, this is a long comment, but this guy really hits the nail on the head. I'm surprised she didn't throw a hissy fit over this. This guy says, and listen to the whole thing, guys, it's good. This guy says, not to sound like an a-hole, but to me, you are less relationship material now than you were 3 years ago. 3 years ago, you were honest with a man about being a sugar baby. Today, you're just making excuses for everything without taking any accountability, ding, 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 for your actions. Forget the sugar baby. The fact that you refuse to take accountability or see how you were wrong is enough to make you not relationship material. You don't want to accept that you were a SEX worker. Nothing wrong with being one, and I have quite a few friends that are, but as well they own it. You don't. You want to walk around thinking you're somehow above that type of work and have more pride. Fine. Let's say I let your stupid excuse pass and you weren't that type of worker. You just had a friends with benefits deal. So you're telling me you conned Tom into dating you under the pretense that you were a SEX worker, but in fact you just forced him into a one-way open relationship. This looks even worse than before. Also, I don't believe for a second that you didn't think that you were a SEX worker. In your own post, you say you were a sugar baby. You were selling you-know-what for monetary gain. Do you call drug dealers pharmacists? Boyfriend booking crack at home? Oh yeah, I'm dating a chemist. Though it may be hard for you to understand or believe, I'm not trying to shit on you. I'm just trying to get you to see how and where you went wrong. You treated Tom disrespectfully. Just because he had low self-esteem doesn't mean it's okay for you to treat him like the way you did 6 months. Like 6 months you were effing another guy while you're in a relationship with this guy. You had zero respect for him. Tomorrow, if you have low confidence and are willing to accept your partner being physically abusive because you don't want to lose him, doesn't make it acceptable for him to be physically abusive. When you come forward, I'm sure you won't want people to say, well, you accepted being abused. So why say he accepted your disrespect, therefore it's okay? This guy's hitting the nail right on the head. He's almost finished. You're 26, not 20, and it's about time you grow up. I love this guy. Take accountability and responsibility for your actions. Good luck. Understand that you were disrespected to Tom for 6 months and your 3-year relationship. Or disrespectful to Tom for 6 months and 3-year relationship. This has nothing to do with your past or you having been a SEX worker. It's how you handle your relationship with him. It's also about how you're handling it right now, acting like you were the angel in all of this. You said how in the past you had bad boyfriends and Tom was different. I'm sure that most men didn't see you as relationship material because they were smart enough to understand that to date you would be in a one-way relationship with you. Tom didn't have an idea of self-worth or respect at the time, and so being the other guy made him feel more important than being alone. He grew up and realized the relationship was tainted from the beginning. My recommendation to you is to give him some space and let him move on. If he misses you and wants to work it out again, he knows how to contact you. The more you try to convince him to stay with you, the more he needs to defend his stance, which in return makes him think all this shit again and it remains fresh in his mind. Now that he has more confidence, he's processing everything a normal man would have processed it in the beginning of the relationship. Give him time and space to process it. The more you try to latch onto him, the slower it's going to be to process everything. This guy sounds like he has experience in this. And the final paragraph, because I know this is long, but this is good. Guy says, I do think you need to take time and possibly even check into individual therapy to work some shit out. Well, that would mean she'd have to admit that there's something wrong. Accountability. Good luck. I think you need to stop getting defensive and open up to what people are telling you. Accept your faults and use it as a life lesson. You're not in this position because of your previous work. It's because you were effing another guy while in a relationship with someone else for 6 months. Every time I say, I'm shocked. In one of your replies, you said that you wouldn't accept him sleeping with someone else, but you felt that you were either more special or he wasn't important enough to be allowed to have equal opportunity in the relationship. The only way you and Tom have a future is to accept these facts. The only way you are going to have a stable relationship with anyone else in the future is to accept these facts. Those who fail to learn from the history are condemned to repeat it. Wow, that guy definitely invested some time in that long response. But yeah, hits the nail on the head. Now, personally, walk away. End it. Nobody wants to hear the world's tiniest violin going off anymore. Nobody cares. Leave this guy alone. He's done. Move on. And this guy can hopefully learn from his mistakes, not get involved with someone like this. But I think he obviously is coming in his own later in life. He's got some confidence, sees himself, he has value. And that's that. Now, the question is, in future relationships, is she going to tell them what she did in the past or keep it quiet and it comes out? Who knows? And the question is, will she take accountability for her actions or blame everybody else? We shall see. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me just think about this. Let me know. It's quite entertaining. All these things that pop up, people having issue that their past starts to impact their future. And they don't like that. I think it's high time people start taking much more accountability and looking at the big picture, and certainly having good parents out there to be aware of these things that go on, like the OnlyFans and all those other things that these young gals are doing nowadays get attention and make money, and because all their friends are doing it. I think it's time parents really become aware of this and start speaking to their kids and pretty much saying, if I find out you're doing something like that, you're disowned. We're done. You got to be tough on the kids and disturb. Otherwise, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 will continue. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.